Hey, welcome back to Late Night with Larry. I'm your host, Larry D. I'm here with my co-host, Vince. Vince, give him a shout out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Larry D Studios.
That's right. We're back here doing it once again. Before we get started, we want you to hit that subscribe button. That's it. Just like that. We also want you to reach out to us. The email to do that is latenightwithlarry55@gmail.com. Tell us about your encounter, your haunting, your UFO sighting, or you just want to say hi.
Yep, whatever you want. You want to say hi. You want to say you want to buy us a beer. You know, we could get a button for that on Facebook or something.
That's right.
Buy them a beer.
That's right. And you should, or we'll set up a GoFundMe page and you guys could donate.
Yeah, and we'll say, hey, sponsored by so-and-so.
There you go. So anyway, tonight we want to share a little bit about the representative from Oklahoma who wants to legalize hunting Bigfoot. But before we do that, we're going to do our ritual.
It's a tradition.
The tradition.
And we're very superstitious, so we don't want to break tradition.
That's right. So here we go. We're going to toast you.
To you. Now, this ain't real. It's just a prop for TV. It's only Kool-Aid.
That's right. It's like the movies. They have props. We have props too.
Yeah, we're getting high tech.
That's right. So,
okay, now, this representative from Oklahoma, Justin Humphrey, is his name?
Justin Humphrey.
Now, that he wants to legalize Bigfoot hunting in Oklahoma. Now, what is driving this? What's behind it?
Well, from what I heard, he wants to legalize it because he believes it'll attract tourism to the state of Oklahoma. And we were talking, and it may attract some tourism to the state, but it may not be the tourism that they want.
It might not be friendly tourism.
Right?
Now, we got nothing against guns. We support them. I mean, this is America. That's your right.
That's right. I fully support the Second Amendment, and I believe you have the right to bear arms, carry arms, and if you need to use them to protect yourself or your family, by all means.
By all means. And we also support the freedom of speech.
That's right.
The right to remain silent. That was a big one.
Your Miranda rights we care about very much. Anyway, back to this representative. Yeah, so he wants to open up the state for Bigfoot hunting. Now, I've known that there have been some sightings in Oklahoma, but I don't think there have been that many that would attract hunters. I could be wrong, but you know, I see what he wants to do. He wants to spark revenue from tourism, but he wants to get all these people out in the woods. You know, of course, they'd have to buy a license. They'd buy, all their sundries in the state, meat, camping goods, everything. So,
right. Now, I wonder if he's going to do it. Like here in New Mexico, you put in for hunting tags, and it's the lottery system. Basically, you're either picked or you're not. But you got to pay to apply, and whether you get picked or not, that's state money now.
Right, and I think it would have to be that way. Reason is because you may get an influx for the first year of just so many people that are like, wow, let's go do this. Let's go see if we could actually find, hunt, and kill a Bigfoot.
Now here, when we have a lot of people coming from out of state to New Mexico because we got some amazing game.
That's right.
We got some trophy elk, bighorn sheep. Now they put in, they pay thousands of dollars, and they pay these outfitters to basically track them and then take them out there to do the killing.
Right. Yeah. So if you hire a guide here in New Mexico, you're going to drop at least $10,000
easy
on a hunt trip.
And you know what's funny is I have a lot of friends that work that guide.
Right.
And these hunters, they're rich businessmen from out of state.
Right.
They come in, they kill a trophy elk. They leave the meat. They just take the
head to mount. Yeah. The rack and the head.
But the meat don't go to waste because everyone here loves elk and deer meat.
Oh yeah, and if you've never had elk meat, people, it's great. Yeah. But what would you do if you shot a Sasquatch? What would you do? Would you eat the meat? Of course not. No.
Now, if you were out there and you had one in your sights, the next question is, could you pull the trigger?
Right, and that's what I'm leading into, because so many people that have seen them, even hunters that have said, I had it in my sights and I just couldn't pull the trigger. And the reason is they say they look so human. And I don't know if I'd be able to. You get something that looks human, whether it looks not exactly like you, but has human characteristics, that may play on your conscience.
Right. And for me, it depends on the situation. Like just to go and hunt one from sport, I don't think I could do that.
Right.
It'd be like, say we go to Africa, are you going to shoot a monkey?
Right. Just so you could say you did it.
No, I wouldn't. But on the other hand, if I'm being threatened, different situation, and it was to save my life, I probably could.
Right. So we're looking at Oklahoma wanting to allow hunting them, and they're pushing up in Canada to preserve them, protect them, and give them rights. So
I think they should be protected.
I do too.
And just like any other creature, like you said, you're not going to eat the meat, so they shouldn't be harvested.
Right. I agree with that. I just don't see, someone getting it in their sights. Now, that's what I'm saying. You may get some crazy people that, and here's the thing, you may get some people that are going to dress up in suits just to go out there and play the game. What if they get shot by one of these hunters?
Yep.
Now what? Does it fall under the same category because they were dressed as a Bigfoot, that it counts as a Bigfoot hunt and they shouldn't have been out there dressed this way?
Right. But, but anyone with common sense and a good scope will be able to tell the difference.
Well, you just said the key word, common sense.
Yep, I know there's a lot lacking these days. But
there's a lot lacking these days, and I see it all over. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about hunting them.
I personally, I'm not for it, but I think this guy, it's maybe a publicity stunt, like you said, to get tourists and revenue into his state.
Right.
Or at the least, just draw attention to his state.
Right. And I think he did a damn good job at it. So, it made national news and people were inquiring about it. But yeah, I think his publicity stunt, if they legalize it, could backfire.
Yeah.
I really do.
Now, how about if we start doing something like that, but the opposite to make money? We'll say we're going to start a Bigfoot petting zoo.
Right.
Buy your tickets now, and when we catch them, we'll notify you.
That's right. You could buy your tickets by emailing me at.
I just can't see. I mean, a lot of people don't believe, but even if you don't believe the stories you hear about them being so human-like, I can't see them passing that.
I can't either. And for one, a lot of, here's my question. A lot of people may say, oh, that's a good idea. You may get your representatives in Oklahoma that are on board and say, well, they don't exist, so let's just pass this,
Right.
You may have one or two that sit in that House of Representatives where they're going to vote, and they may say, no, it's not a good idea. But, the majority rule votes, it
Right.
rules.
Or some of them might say, well, these things are so elusive and so many people have seen them, but yet a lot of people have not. So
Right.
they've got to be endangered species. Let's protect them.
Yeah. And I think that, their numbers, we don't know what their numbers are, but if their numbers are low, because if they were higher, we do get a lot of sightings, but I think if the numbers were higher, we'd see more. But there again, it's just a thought.
Right.
Because we don't know how many are out there because they're so elusive and good at hiding.
Right. And the bottom line is we don't know enough about them to put them on endangered species list, to categorize them, to put them up for harvesting, anything. We just don't know enough.
That's right. So I'm kind of leaning toward that this is a bad idea. And I lean that way just because I do believe these hunters that have said they were in my scope, but I couldn't pull the trigger because they just look too human.
Right.
And, I'm going to side on with them and say, well, if they do look human, then they may possibly share characteristics with us, including a little bit of the same DNA. And, they should be protected.
Right. And my personal thinking is I'm not even going to raise my gun to them if I'm not in danger.
Right.
Because I was always taught never point your gun unless you intend to kill something.
That's right. And that's a good rule of thumb. And I I don't know where, I just don't know. I think it's just a terrible idea.
I do too, but I still think it's a publicity stunt.
And you're right, it possibly could be, and it did attract some attention. But he's gonna. You kick the hornet's nest now. You can't put that back in the bag. So you're gonna have animal rights activists that, say I've never seen one, but supposedly they are human-like, and they're going to be up in arms about it. And you're going to get your hardcore hunters that just want to kill anything that say, no, we should be allowed to. And that's the only way to prove it is to bring a body in and to study it. And I'm like, I just think that's a bad idea. Jane Goodall, when she was studying the gorillas, she didn't kill them and bring them in so we could study them.
Right.
She actually got among them and lived with them, and that's how she studied them and learned them.
And by the way, kudos to her because she has more cojones than I do.
She does to get in the midst of all those gorillas, and if anyone remembers the movie they made about her, it's called Gorillas in the Mist.
Gorillas in the Mist,
and it was a really, really good movie, and that's basically where I learned about her. Growing up, I had heard about her, her research and what she was doing, but back to the Bigfoot. If anyone can actually do that and gain their trust and live around them for a while, that would be awesome.
Now on I believe it's Travel Channel, there's a show called Expedition Bigfoot.
Right.
And one of the field researchers, Maria, what's her last name?
I don't know.
But anyway,
I know.
she's a primatologist. She's an expert. She did work like Jane Goodall.
Right.
She went and lived amongst gorillas and primates, and she said she was never really frightened there.
Right.
But she said out there looking for Bigfoot, and they've had some supposedly close encounters. She said she was afraid there.
Right. Well, I think people would get afraid because, the sight of these creatures is so intimidating. When you see something that muscular and something that big that may look at you with not a welcoming look, but, more of a protective look, like you're trespassing, you don't belong here. Of course, they got their guard up too. And, that'd be frightening.
Now, there's always been, excuse me, a debate about the size and how much they weigh, the Bigfoot.
Right.
Now, you look at a gorilla is tall as a human, maybe.
Right, yeah.
Tall, but those things could weigh like 500 pounds.
Right. A gorilla, it's all muscle too.
Now, could you imagine a gorilla twice the size?
I can't, because
that'd be scary.
That 900 pound gorilla like that,
or more,
right? Standing up tall.
Because like we've heard stories of some Bigfoot as tall as 12 feet.
12 feet, yes. I've heard. I think the biggest one I heard, they said stood pretty close to 13 feet. And I'm like, that's the total alpha male of the pack. He's the one that he's in charge.
Now I remember there was a couple of videos. It's called The Fence Jumper, where that one comes and hops over the fence. Now, the way they were doing it, they claim it was a study. They won't disclose the location, but they set up cameras. They're filming through mirrors because they say the Bigfoot knows the cameras, whatever. Right. So that's how they caught it. They're actually filming a mirror, and all the action was behind them. But one of the videos they released was two younger males that were kind of wrestling
by the barn.
And then the big one comes out, and the big one was twice as tall.
And he was huge. I remember that.
And he broke. Well, he didn't have to. When they saw him, they both hightailed it.
They were like, "Oh, we're in trouble." It's kind of like two kids fighting, and Dad comes out of the room with his belt.
Yep.
And they just took off.
That's funny because we've experienced that.
Yes, we have. we personally have experienced that.
But that's old.
Yeah, it is. I'd like to hear some of your people's thoughts. Send us emails and we could talk about them. But I for one, don't think it's a good idea.
I don't either. And like you said, a lot of people say, well, science ain't going to accept it until there's a body. But you brought up a good point about Jane Goodall. She didn't bring in a body.
She didn't bring in a body. She got out there amongst them. Now, let's talk about when we were watching, the Sierra Sounds, that documentary with Roger Moorhead.
Sorry, that was a joke.
That's
from
a joke
previous
amongst
episode.
us, yeah.
But it was who was his name? It was Moorhead.
Moorhead. Ron Moorhead.
Ron Moorhead. There you
Ron Moorhead. Roger Moorhead.
kind of mixed this.
Yeah, I got him a little confused. Sorry about that, folks. But no, we were watching this documentary, and he was talking about how they would go back every year to this hunting spot, and every year they would come in closer and closer and closer, and that's what it's going to take. But one day a bear came into the camp, and they had to kill that bear, and of course they were around and they witnessed it. And he said from that day on, they kept their distance and they got further and further.
Right. That just shows how intelligent they are.
That's right. And that tells me that they're not inclined.
They don't want confrontation.
Yeah, they're not inclined to provoke violence like that. I think if they kill, it's for survival, kill or be killed, or for a meal. To eat. I don't think they don't kill things like we humans do,
right.
like we do. That bear was a threat, so they killed it. And and any intelligent creature sitting on the sideline sees that, says, right, their instinct is, whoa, these people are violent, we need to avoid them because that's what they're going to do to us.
Right.
And that's basically what this Oklahoma representative wants to do.
Right. And I think if he brings in, if it's passed and hunters start coming in, I think the Bigfoot are smart enough. They know what guns are. They're going to start moving out of the area.
I think so too. They'll migrate.
Hopefully over to New Mexico. So
that's right.
It'll increase our chances.
Yeah, I think they would migrate.
I do too.
But they'd be like, this. It's just too hot here.
Now, I've watched several shows and documentaries where they think they migrate like long areas,
right, along the mountain chains,
long distances. Right. But because they say like on that show they use a algorithm to figure out where they're going to be at.
Right.
And they interviewed some people. I don't know if it was Kentucky or what, and they said, no, they're here all year round.
Right.
So I don't know if they do migrate. Maybe it depends on the area. Maybe there's like pockets of rich with wildlife,
right,
and water. Just like we talked about these ones in the Jemez, there's no reason to leave.
No, and
all winter it's theirs. They have the run of the place.
Right, and they wouldn't leave because everything they need is right there. I think the ones that may possibly migrate are going to have to go with the game and follow the seasons,
or possibly when it just unbearably cold in the mountains, they move south.
Right. I mean, it could be possible. It could be.
Right. But like you said, in Oklahoma, that might be what you call a forced migration.
Right. And Oklahoma, it's a flat land, so they don't have a lot of mountain terrain. So they do have some foresty area, but Oklahoma's basically plains. It's level.
Well,
not a lot of mountain.
Yeah. But we're not real familiar with it. Just like people think in New Mexico, they think you have trees. I thought it was deserts.
Right. Well, I know. I've been to Oklahoma, like Tulsa, and when I was doing some jobs out there, and yeah, we would drive, and we would drive from Tulsa up to the state line, and right. I really didn't see a lot of hilly area habitat.
Yeah. Now I used to drive through Oklahoma when I used to live in Memphis.
Right.
That was so long ago, I don't remember.
Right, no.
Or I was maybe been under the influence of something that don't allow me to remember.
Hey, that's a possibility. But back to the Oklahoma representative. I'm wondering what was going through his mind. Was he sitting up late one night having a one too many, and he said, yeah, son of a bitch, I think we ought to kill us a Bigfoot, and I'm just gonna get our state to legalize hunting them critters, and we'll just find out what's what.
It's either maybe he somewhat believes in he could have the first state to actually produce a body, or just a scam, to get people to come and spend money.
Well, he already did say he wants increased tourism, so we know right there it's a gimmick.
Right.
Any state that advertises to increase tourism, it's just a gimmick. The tourists come here and they say, "Wow, it looked much different on TV," and now that I'm looking at it, it wasn't that great.
Right. Now, in my experience, anyone who's ever had a Bigfoot experience or even halfway believes, they wouldn't go for this because they're like, well, no, leave them alone, you know.
Right. No.
But then again, we got some crazy people in this world, so
We
who
do.
knows?
We do. I'm going to lean on the side to where let's leave them alone. Yes, I do want to have my own encounter, but yeah, that may be it. I may see him and it may terrify me, and I may never want to go back to the woods again.
I know the feeling.
But I bet you do. But my point is, that's their home. You know, we no longer commingle with them and live in the forest like we used to. Otherwise, I guarantee we'd see this differently. You know, more of us would be against it because more of us would say, no, we can live in harmony with them and they don't hurt us, they don't harm us.
Right. And that's funny you say that because the majority of people who enjoy going to the mountains, they're about living in harmony with nature and
That's right.
and protecting the animals. Even if they're hunters, they're probably the ones who support protecting and
Right. I mean, because if you're a true hunter, you know that if I'm going to kill that deer, we're going to eat it.
right.
I'm not just a trophy hunter.
And also, they don't want to overkill because they want their kids, their grandkids to experience the hunt.
Right. And that's respecting nature. That's what you truly call the cycle of life.
That's taking only what you need.
Right. Not just.
And that's how the natives are. The natives have been from the beginning. They would only take what they need.
That's why they hated Buffalo Bill.
Right.
He was just killing all these buffaloes for the hide. All that good meat was going to waste. Not only that, they saw their food supply just getting dwindled down. And from what we know today, the way those buffalo like grazed and herded and migrated on the plains, they were actually they were doing an environmental duty because they would eat up all the live grass as they would go. You know, they would tear up the ground and help reseed and more grass grow, and of course their poop all over the plains was fertilized.
Yes.
You know, and as the population dwindled, you know, of course
Things changed.
There's environmental impact.
Right. It's called the ecosystem. Everything in it has a duty.
That's right.
You take even the smallest part out. Just look at with the bees, how that could impact us if they go away.
Humanity's done if the bees go away.
Yeah.
They're the ones that pollinate. Without them, nothing grows.
Right.
Yeah. So our point is, if you people out there that are in favor for going out there and killing these creatures, you might want to think twice. What if the shoe was on the other foot and they had the bigger population and they said, you know, let's go into the cities and see if we could find us a human and kill it.
Right.
You know,
Or let's go into that campground.
right.
Remember the Boggy Creek, the Falk.
The Falk monster. Yeah. He's in the shitter and the arm comes through. Right. Now, I'll bet he just
helped him along.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He emptied his bowels right there.
Yep. In a hurry.
Right. But I mean,
yeah, I don't think harvesting's a good idea. I mean, it's just ridiculous if you harvest something just for a trophy. Just like you see these people who go to Africa and kill an elephant or a lion.
That's just disgusting.
Man, that really just angers me.
No, I'm just going to say it. It's disgusting. I'm like, come on, man. Just because you got a lot of money and you want to mount this in your library or whatever to show off, I'm like, man, that's just wrong. That's
Right.
just wrong.
Now we're into 80s music and the rock band Motley Crue. One of the members, Nikki Sixx, has a zebra skin on his wall. Now he tells... What happened was he went to Africa and they had a sanctuary where they care for these animals or whatever.
Right.
And an animal died of natural causes. So they, of course, they need money to keep the refuge going. And
Right.
they made a rug or whatever and he bought it. He didn't hunt. It just died of natural causes. So
Well,
that's a different story.
That's a different story. I mean, because they're going to die of old age and natural causes just like we do.
Right.
So, but I'm just not on board for going out there and killing some of these creatures. Yes, like I said, I want to see one. I want to have my experience, but that's where it ends.
Right.
I'm not going to say, oh, now I know they're out there. I'm going to come packing, loading bear arms.
Right. And we would have to feel pretty
Threatened.
threatened to even pull our gun.
Yeah.
Because we go to the mountains and we've had stuff thrown at us, and pulling a gun was the last thing on my mind.
Well, the weapons are just for last resort protection. If I could have my encounter without being threatened, or not just bluff charged to where, oh shit, this is the real deal.
That would be different. But
That's different.
Even then, it'd be a warning shot first.
Yeah, to see if that boomstick could stop it and send it in a different direction.
Now, I've heard interviews with forest rangers, and where they've been in the territory, and the Sasquatch will escort them out.
Right.
And they say they always have a sidearm, but they say they never draw it because that'll make things worse.
And I agree, of course, because now they're going to feel intimidated and threatened.
Right. And, these hunters, you shoot one, who's not to say there's 3 or 4 behind you waiting?
And if they're as fast as people say they are, you ain't got a chance.
I don't know about you guys, but we're not the fastest sprinters anymore.
Right. Well, let's look, for instance, if you've ever watched Todd Standing's Bigfoot documentary. He's out there, and it's during the snow. While one's got his attention up in front, he said supposedly one threw a log and knocked him out from the side. So, they don't travel alone.
Right.
People may think, oh, I only saw one, it was alone, but
that's when he was filming the one standing there.
Yeah.
And then when he came to, it was gone.
And if this is true, which I'm convinced, I don't care what anyone says, they're trying to discredit him, saying he's into animatronics and they're all fake. But when he stood at that tree, and he's a big man, and he jumped, and I saw his head, and the outline of the Sasquatch that was turned because it had its back toward him, he said that because you can't see the eyes that way. That damn thing was big.
Right, he had to pretty much jump to where the shoulders were.
Yeah, and those shoulders were wide. I mean, I saw the shadow of it as he was filming, and I was like, holy shit, that one's going to be at least 10, 11 feet.
Now, the ones trying to discredit him, to do what they're claiming he does with animatronics and masks or whatever costumes, he must have a lot of money.
Not only that, to get all that stuff up there and film that for a little bit, that's just not worth it. And to get people
in the costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody would have came forward and say, this guy's full of bologna sauce or whatever.
Right. Well, they tried to do that with the Gimlin film,
People have came forward and said they were the ones in the suit. Where's the suit?
Right. And then the suit they did produce, it's like, this is a sewed monkey suit from the 70s, and there is no way this was
even a sewed monkey suit from now.
Right. No, it's just not possible. Now, today we do have good special effects.
In
Hollywood, but that's computer generated. We can do good makeup jobs and whatnot where it looks real on the camera, but
you have to have a Hollywood budget.
We're looking, a Hollywood budget, and we're looking at an 8mm film filmed in 1967.
Right.
That's what I was going to say that was the year I was born, but I'm not going to tell anyone my age. So for that film, and it's been enhanced, it's been looked at, and to this day, no one could say it's fake.
Right. They can't prove it's fake.
That's right. People tried and tried, but
there's just too much muscle detail under that hair.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real deal, folks. I mean, and a matter of fact, I first saw that video when I was growing up. It was when In Search of with Leonard Nimoy hit the airwaves in the early 70s. I was maybe 8, 9 years old when I saw that. From that day on, I was intrigued by Bigfoot.
And that must have been the first time I came across it, too. I can't remember exactly when I first saw it.
Right.
But we were probably watching the same show.
Right. And it wasn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't it was a defining moment for me, but it wasn't one of those things where I said, oh, okay, that's cool. No, I got sucked in, hook, line, and sinker. Now, I also watched, In Search of, the UFOs and the Loch Ness Monster. And I don't get me wrong, I do love to hear about UFOs and talk about them because I do believe they're just as real as Bigfoot.
Right.
But that Bigfoot I just said, wow, this, because it's terrestrial, it's here, it's in the forest. It could, I could be one that sees it. I just got excited about it.
For some reason, it grabbed a hold of us more than any of the other cryptids or
It's exactly what
alien
it did.
stuff out there.
Exactly what it did. And
even to this day, like we talk about other things on this podcast. We talk about Dogman. We talk about werewolves.
right,
But
UFOs.
still, Bigfoot is the center of our podcast because we're just so intrigued, so interested. I mean, I've told you my experience. I know they're out there, and
Right.
we're searching for. Well, we're doing research. I want another experience. He wants a closer experience. He's had experiences,
Right.
but we just want that one that'll maybe scare us out of the woods forever.
That's right. I want that, not up close and personal, but I want that firsthand experience.
I will take the up close and personal. I will probably regret it for the rest of my life.
Right.
But man, just think of the stories we could tell our grandkids.
That's right. And we do take extra pair of underwear to the mountains in case we do have that up close and
Oh, Russ,
personal.
we'll go commando. We'll waste them both.
That's right. Anyway, that's a subject we wanted to share with you tonight. And like we said, let us know your thoughts, and we hope you enjoyed what you heard.
Yes, let us know what you think. Kill or no kill?
That's right. Anyway, thank you.
That's for you, people.
That's right. Thanks for listening, and remember to subscribe.
Peace out.
Peace.
Do you find yourself drawn to the darkness, waiting for something to watch you back when you're looking out the window? Maybe those lights in the sky are really more than just the stars twinkling at you.
Maybe there's more spirits than just what's in your glass. Check out Till the Last Drop, a podcast on paranormal topics with a drink themed for each episode.
Available where you can listen to most podcasts. Stay thirsty for the paranormal until the last drop.